Alright, Dark Dragon here. Time to do some operations with decimals. Let's get it. I'm adding decimals right here, okay? So when I add decimals, there's two things I need to keep in mind. There's I think three things, and we'll get to them. The first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the larger of the two numbers is on top, okay? So 4.52 is bigger than 3.26. Now the reason I want to do that is because I want to make sure that if I have to subtract, then I'm subtracting the smaller number from the bigger number. So in this case, the second thing I want to do is I want to decide whether or not it's subtraction or addition. How you decide that is, are the two numbers different signs or the same sign? These two are of different signs. So since they're different, I can just make sure that it's going to be a subtraction. Anytime they're different, it's subtraction. Finally, I want to put down here the sign of what it's going to be. The bigger of the two numbers was negative, so since I'm subtracting, the final answer is also going to be negative. And then I go. So 2 minus 6, alright? So I don't want that to be 2, I want this to be 12, because I can't subtract 2 from 6. That's going to be 12, and to make that 12, I borrowed from this 5. It became a 4. 12 minus 6 is 6. 4 minus 2 is 2. Make sure that this decimal kind of follows a line straight down. And 4 minus 3 is 1. So our final answer is going to be negative 1.26. Here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the larger of the two numbers on top, so 7.4. I'm going to put the smaller on bottom. I want to fill in this right here, this little gap with the 0. Doing this work is very important to be neat, because it's very easy to screw up if you're not writing neatly. It's hard to get the decimals aligned if you're not writing neatly. Just be neat. And then I want to decide whether or not it's going to be addition or subtraction. They are both negative. They're the same sign. Anytime I have the same sign, it's addition. But the final answer is going to be negative because both of them were negative. 0 plus 8 is 8. 4 plus 1 is 5. 7 plus 5 is 12. And there's your answer, folks. Negative 12.58. This is supposed to say diver. A driver went below the surface of the ocean. Interesting. No, a diver went below the surface of the ocean 30.65 feet. It's below the surface, so we're going to say that's negative. He then and then 46.5 feet further down, so he's still going down, so negative 46.5. He then rose, so that's up. He's going up now, so that's positive 52.45. Find the diver's new depth. I spelled it right there. Okay, so I'm going to take this two at a time. I'm just going to do these two first. So I'm going to say 30.65 and 46.5 with an extra 0. Now the reason that 46 is on top is because 46 is bigger than 30.65. Don't forget that. They're both negative, so I can add these together. Which could be a negative number because both of them were negative again. So we're adding 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 6 is 11, so 1, carry the 1. Sorry, I didn't give myself enough room there. 1 plus 6 is 7. Don't forget your decimal. And 4 plus 3 is 7. So these two together are negative 77.15. Now we need to add 52.45. So to do that, I'm going to keep at it. Put the larger of the two numbers on top, the smaller on bottom, line up my decimals, and they are a negative and a positive, so I'm going to subtract. And finally, the negative number is larger, so make sure the final answer is negative. 5 minus 5 is 0. 1 minus 4, well, I can't do that, so I'm going to borrow, make that a 6, make this an 11. 11 minus 4 is 7. Keep the decimal. 6 minus 2 is 4. 7 minus 5 is 2. So my final answer is negative 24.7 feet, or feet below surface. Now, I didn't write the 0 because I hope we understand that if there's a 0 at the end of a decimal, and you don't necessarily have to write it. It's just understood that there's an infinite number of zeros back there. They're just, you don't have to write it. But you can, and it's not wrong. Student work, right here. That's all you. Let's do multiplication and division. So this first one's multiplying. There's two things I'm going to do. The first thing is I want to count how many numbers are behind the decimal. So there are 3 behind. That'll come back into play in a minute. Also, it's multiplication, right? So this is a positive number times a negative number. That means my final answer is going to be negative. Again, I'll come back to both of those in just a minute. So, here's what we do. We're going to say 672 times 4. Like this. I know that looks sloppy. So we're basically just getting rid of the decimals. And we're going to multiply like normal. So I'm going to say 4 times 2, which is 8. 4 times 7, which is 28. And 4 times 6, which is 24, plus 2 makes that 26. Now here's where these two things come into play. It's this number, but 3 of these numbers have to be behind the decimal. So that means the decimal's theoretically here, move it 3 times, goes right there, and it has to be negative. So my answer is negative 2.688. Again, 3 numbers behind the decimal, and it's negative. So that's multiplying. Divisions is a whole different animal. Let's write it as a long division, okay? So this is going to be 1.8. Oh, also, I still... yeah, it's a different animal. I'm going to write it like this. Negative 1.8, 13.14. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start out by getting rid of this decimal. I move it over. Now you can't just do that. You move it over there, you also move it over here. It's the law. So I don't want that. So I'm actually going to rewrite this as 18, and I'm going to divide 131.4. I do not want my divisor to have a decimal in it. The other thing I need to do is this was a positive number divided by a negative number, so I want to make sure there's a negative right there. Okay. So now I'm going to go. 18 doesn't go into 13. 18 goes into 131. We have to kind of, if you're not real good at it, you're going to have to guess. You can always divide. You can say, okay, 131 divided by 18 is going to give you a whole number in a decimal. You can also put this into your calculator to begin with and get how you begin, if that helps. So anyways, we're going to say 7. The answer is 7. And this decimal, make sure it comes right up again. Okay, so that decimal goes straight up. So 7 times 18. So 7 times 18. So 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 10 is 70. Add those together, I get 126. So this is going to be 126. Subtract 131 minus 126 is 5. Bring down the 4. And 18 goes into 54 3 times. So here we say 3 times 18 is 54. Subtract, that's 0. So the answer is going to be, don't forget that negative there. I'm just going to rewrite it. Negative 70 or 7.3, like this. Alright, division is going to be a little bit harder than multiplication, but use your calculator as a tool, not how you do it. You still need to know how to do long division, and I expect to see it on the answers. Okay, we got word problems. We got 2 word problems we want to do. Hot air balloon. A hot air balloon climbed at 0.7 meters per second for 8 seconds. It then descended at 0.5 meters per second for 6 seconds. Find the overall change in altitude. So it was 0.7 meters per second, so per 1 second for 8 seconds. So we want to know what the distance was there, and then went down, descended 0.5. So descend is negative 0.5 meters per 1 second for 6 seconds. So we're going to find this, and then we're going to find that, and we're going to put them together, find the overall change. So it went up this amount, then it went down that amount. Where we're at, where are we at now? It's just going to be an addition problem, but it's going to have decimals. So 1 to 8 is times 8. So this is going to be 0.7 times 8. Okay. So remember, it's positive, so the final answer is going to be positive. It's basically 8 times 7, which is 56, but there is 1 decimal, so that number is 5.6 meters. This one, to go from here to here, is times 6, so this is going to be negative 0.5 times 6. So 5 times 6 is 30. There's 1 behind the decimal, so this is going to be 3. 3, if you want to think about it, it's 3.0. So we have, and it's negative. So we have 5.6 from this one minus 3.0 for this one. And the overall change here is going to be, well, 5 minus 3 is 2. The overall change is 2.6. 2.6 meters. I just want to reiterate right now, if any of this stuff is not making sense, pause and rewatch the video, because sometimes you're just writing and you're not really thinking. So pause and rewatch it. It's not, that's what the video is here for. It's to go as slow or as fast as you can handle. So if it doesn't make sense, pause and rewatch it. If it still doesn't make sense, come to class and ask me a question. Alright, an electronic game system costs $399 plus a 4% sales tax. The total cost, what is the total cost of the game system? So we first need to know 4%. When we find percentages, okay, 4% is in decimal form. You have to move the decimal over twice. So basically it is 0.04. That's what 4% looks like as a decimal. 72%, that's equal to 0.72. 1%, that's equal to 0.01. You always move the decimal over twice to the left. That's how you change percent to a decimal. So we have 399 plus 4% sales tax, and basically that's 4% of 399, which means that we're going to take 0.04 and we're going to multiply it times the price of the product we bought. So this is going to become 399 plus whatever this is. So let's do that. I have two behind the decimal, and it's positive, so maybe that matters. Alright, so I have 399 times 4. 4 times 9, okay, that's 36, so 6 carry the 3. 4 times 9, 36, plus 3 is 39. And 4 times 3, 12, 13, 14, 15. There were 2 behind the decimal, remember, so this is going to be 15.96. 2 numbers need to be behind the decimal over here. Add those together, Alright, so, and let's go ahead and write the larger number, 399. I'm going to add these two zeros because I need them. 15.96. And its addition, they're both positive. 0 plus 6 is 6, 9 plus 0 is 9, 9 plus 5 is 14, carry the 1, that is 11, carry the 1, 400. So your final price for the video game system after tax is $414.96. Booyah. Math. It's what's for dinner.